So what we are doing here today is changing a 29cc to a 30.5 by swapping out the crankcase. First up, obviously stripping it apart, taking the piston off, taking the clutch out, and then the flywheel. Or maybe first the flywheel, and then the clutch. Come on, Reno, hurry up. Next up, clutch mount or clutch holder. This thing was so Loctited, it's not even funny. Alright, pulling it out with my clutch mount puller tool proved quite difficult because there was a lot of Loctite on that thing. And then we used the same tool to pull the flywheel. Here you have to be extra careful, otherwise that center bolt can damage the crank or the thread on the crank. So always make sure the bolt stays in the middle. Next up, clutch housing comes off. And then the crankcase bolts so we can split the crankcase. Cool, time to clean my hands so that everything stays nice and clean inside. Get the new crank out. This is a 30mm stuffed crank. And then put the old crank back in the bag to keep it clean. Check that everything runs nice and smooth, bearings are fine, everything looks good. Putting it back together. Quick and easy, a little bit of oil there on that big end bearing. And then make sure that the oil is run through properly. So when you get it at first start, it's not a dry run. Next up, piston. And then we put a little bit of gasket maker on the crankcase. We do not need a gasket for this setup because our squish is gonna be beautiful. You go, make sure the bolts are ready to bolt on so that everything doesn't move around too much. And this I just hand tight, quite nice, not torque wrench tight. Testing that everything works, and boom, guess what? I put the crank the wrong way around. Try again, shall we? Put it in the right way around, and now we can continue. Right, put the flywheel key in its place. Make sure the flywheel is set in its correct timing. Now I'm not gonna bolt that down yet. Clutch housing, back on, then the clutch mount. A lot of people put Loctite on the bolt for the clutch mount. I do not, no. I put it on the clutch mount itself, on the inside taper end. I put a little bit in there, and that will hold it in place. The bolt will not come loose very easily, but that is what makes sure that your clutch mount doesn't spin on the crank. This is the correct way to do it. Nice hand tight there. Now a new 8000 clutch, well, new spring, old clutch. And then we set that coil gap. Make sure it doesn't catch anywhere, make sure everything's nice and smooth. Spark plug. And then the fan cover with a pull start. Once that is tight, we're going to give it a test. Make sure everything sounds right, moves right. Feels good. Cool. Alright, next up, clutch belt carrier. And then we can stick it back in the car. And let's give it a rip. Thanks for watching.